Objectives and assessment. How does Bloom's taxonomy of the cognitive domain impact learning objectives and assessment? Teachers are familiar with the idea that we make learning objectives. These learning objectives drive our instruction and our planning. Likewise, the assessment is directly correlated to these objectives. Learning objectives define what is expected of the students in their mastery of content and skills. Assessment measures that mastery of content and skills. Bloom's taxonomy of the cognitive domain provides a framework by which educators are able to formulate questions, plan lessons, and activities in a way that causes students to use not just the most basic level of understanding, but to use increasingly difficult levels of thinking until they're at the point where they are able to criticize, to recommend, to compare and analyze something in relationship not only to its own content, but to content in other areas of life. Creating objectives using Bloom's taxonomy is kind of like this machine. If we input a topic, this topic comes from the academic standards. So in Colorado, 5th grade's physical science standard, mixtures of matter can be separated regardless of how they were created. If this is the topic we put into the machine, we use our Bloom's taxonomy verbs to come out with an expected behavior and the measure of that behavior. This result is not only the objective, but that objective will then describe the assessment. So, for the physical science objective, for example, and using the Bloom's taxonomy verb demonstrate, we come with the objective: the student will accurately demonstrate how mixtures act similarly to their original materials using appropriate tools and terminology. Now, this objective uses a specific verb. Likewise, there is a measure and there's an expected behavior. This objective would then have a matching assessment. On a test or a quiz or another form of authentic assessment, the teacher will give instructions requiring the student to use given materials or diagrams to prove that they not only have memorized facts, but that they can also apply this knowledge given a real-life scenario. That is how Bloom's taxonomy, and in this case, using the example of the verb demonstrate, applies not only to creating the objectives, but then making sure the assessment actually matches that level of thinking.